Okay, hi everyone, and welcome to how the legal industry can use AI tools in marketing. And I just want to make sure, Chris, you can see the slides, right?
Oh yeah, you're good.
Okay, good. Okay, so I'm Stefanie Marrone and I'm with Chris Fritsch. And a lot of you have come to our programs before. We'll do a little intro about us, and the recording will be available to everybody. So it'll be, something you can go back to. So Chris, tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, sure. So I've been a business development technology consultant for, over 20 years now. Started clients first about 17 years ago. We have a team of almost 100 folks. We're focusing primarily on business development technology success, such as CRM systems. And we have a whole team that does automated and manual data cleanup and data quality work for professional services firms all over the world.
All right. So I don't think there are many people who don't know you. And so if you don't know me, I'm Stefanie Marrone. I have been working in the legal industry for 20 years. It's hard to believe it. And I've worked with all of the firms at the bottom. I am a legal marketer and do a lot with LinkedIn. So a lot of you may know me from LinkedIn. I live in New York City with my two French bulldogs, Lucy and Scarlett. Okay. So I wanted to put up our LinkedIn QR code, so you'll have another opportunity to see this again, but do link in with Chris and I. You can just hold your smartphone up to the screen here, and it will take you to our profiles. If you go to, I can show you how to do it. Just go to LinkedIn and click on the search bar on the right-hand side, and you will be able to connect with us, or just look for our names, and I'll put a link to our LinkedIn profiles and our blogs so that you can follow us as well. Okay.
And we love to share best practices. So the lawyers, everybody on our call may have already seen this, but the lawyers have not. So teach them about how to put this on their slide decks too, and they will think that you are a rock star, because this is amazing.
Star. All right, so we have a lot to get into today. This is such a hot topic, Chris. And so we were trying to demystify it ourselves. And so we decided to talk to others about it. And we're all trying to learn about this. So, Chris and I have educated ourselves, but I think that, we can all learn from each other. So please feel free to share your best practices or your thoughts or experiences at all with these tools. And so we're going to get into all of these things today. If we decide that if there's interest in another webinar, we certainly will do another one. I'm sure you'll hear from Chris and I with our next webinar.
And it looks like, Stephanie, what we need to do is we need to capture the chat too, because it looks like all of our wonderful, brilliant LMA folk and legal marketing friends are showing us ideas of what they're doing with it already.
Yeah, so I'm loving seeing and hear, so this is really interesting to see. So we will go through this. It looks like we've got people using it. So it'll, hopefully we'll give you some inspiration today as well. So yeah, Chris, you saw this today, right?
Yeah, our first slide, of course, was, why do we care? Should we care about this? I just happen to, I get law.com and ALM publications. This was the law.com technology section today. This is one thing. There were every single article. I've never seen it before. Every single one of them was about AI.
Crazy.
It's amazing. So yeah, check it out today if you're at all interested. So clearly it's relevant, and look at all the chats. I mean, everybody's interested in it. So. Right. Yeah, I think, we normally have a few hundred people signing up for our webinars. I think we had 1.5 to 2 times the normal amount signed up for this, because we're all just fascinated by it. So, but I think, obviously some background. What is AI? And, ChatGPT obviously is an AI. But these are just basically tools that allow that are basically can scour the internet and other available sources, and basically take in so much data that they are actually doing what's called a machine learning from that data. And they're also processing the English language and allowing you to respond in automated ways, such that, I'm sure we've all, dealt with chatbots on websites, but now it's even hard to tell if it's a human on the other end or if it's some sort of a bot. And that's just because of this, the natural language processing. And, this is not perfect. You can't use it for everything, but it can certainly help save some time on some things. ChatGPT in particular is sort of the best known tool because it, came out. I really wouldn't say it came out first, because there are actually a lot of tools being used by law firms that have been using AI for years. But ChatGPT was the first one to allow you to get really detailed information, condensed quickly, and they've gotten a lot of the buzz. It has a deep learning algorithm, and it really can take a lot of information and synthesize it and give it back to you in a format that is almost usable.
Okay. So there are immeasurable, and I mean, there's so many different ways that AI tools can enhance efficiency in the delivery of legal services. We're not talking about that today. We're not talking about how lawyers can use it. Many legal tech companies have been using AI for a really long time, and I don't think everybody realizes that there are a lot of things that we've been doing that actually fall in the AI category. And the reason I like AI, I mean, I'm a little scared of it just because I work in so many law firms, but I think that there are different opportunities that AI tools really present to lawyers, law firms, et cetera, and essentially marketers as well. And the reason is that it helps us be more efficient about the things that we're doing, which means we can focus on the things that really matter. And you may not realize, but there's AI in all of these tools: e-discovery, legal research, DM systems, due diligence tools, and litigation analysis. So this isn't anything new, to be honest with everybody. Like, it's just how we use it is a little different.
Yeah, there are a lot of different ways, and we're literally just scratching the surface right now. But a lot of them involve, increasing efficiency. So let me get that first draft. Or, I think we've all been in the situation where we've got to get something written and we've just got a block, writer's block. You can get it to generate ideas. The other thing that you can do is then once you've got your marketing message, you can better target your audience and you can improve the client experience. A lot of people have gotten frustrated with customer service and client service over the years, and AI can help get to that first level of service where there's nothing now. It's not going to be a substitute for the human in every situation, but certainly can help in some and ultimately give us a competitive advantage.
Okay. So in terms of how you can use AI for marketing, these are some of the ways, and I'm seeing that a lot of people are putting in the comments other ways, and I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued by what you're doing. So here is what I'm going to say as a caveat, right? There's no substitution for a human. And I'll talk about this a little later. I think these tools can be used as tactics, but not strategy. You are the best tool that we have. I don't think robots are going to replace humans because they don't know the specifics. We'll talk about the limitations of these tools in a little bit as well, but let's just go over some of the ways you could use this. So generating copy. So first drafts of practice descriptions, bios, a little tricky. You got to try it out and see what it does. Descriptions for webinars could be interesting as well. Improving your content. And by the way, the real way to use these tools effectively is to provide it with an effective prompt. So if you're asking it, give me ideas for how lawyers can market themselves, you're not going to get a one-size-fits-all, explanation. It has to be specific. But remember that there are certain things that these tools cannot do. And it's basically an amalgamation of information from all over the web and different sources. blogs and different places. So the information is only as good as what's been put into it. And it's not going to be necessarily specific for your particular area of the law, nor will it give you, like, if you're a litigation boutique versus a major big firm, it's not really going to be able to give you strategies and tactics that you should use for one versus the other. I find that the results I get are pretty generic at times. So the specificity of what you ask it to do can make a big difference, but also know that this is a starting point. And so I tell people all the time, use this as an outline, okay? So presentation outlines, and Chris will get into that in a little bit. You can ask it to make you a presentation. There's something called Slide GPT as well. And there is a paid version of ChatGPT and a non-paid version. Repurposing content. So I've asked it to tell me how I can effectively repurpose my content, and it's given me some good ideas. Social media posts. So I haven't had the best luck with this, but it's something you can use. And so I always say, so I use Captions, the app, for my captions for my videos. And what it also does is use AI. If any of you use the tool, you'll see this. It uses AI to provide a synopsis of my topic and spit out hashtags. Like, some of them are relevant and sometimes the description is okay, but I usually have to edit it myself. So just know that nothing it gives you is what you should be using as your finished product. So it can help with brochure copy, web copy, pitches to an extent. Surveys, and the arduous task of creating a survey can be difficult. You can ask it to create one for you. It can help you with drafting press releases. It can give you suggestions for tools and resources. It can help you write speeches, but again, it's never going to be able to really understand somebody's voice unless that person is like an Oprah and has a lot of information in the public domain. So it might give you some information to help you write like a commencement address or opening remarks, but you're going to need to tailor it. It can do some CI, but again, it's limited. Some of these tools are limited with information either before or after 2021. So that's something. So ChatGPT says that it doesn't have, it has reduced knowledge of things before 2021. So that's something to keep in mind, or sorry, after 2021. Providing background information, outlines is probably the best place. A nuanced area of the law that's new, it's not going to help you with. And then email copy, it won't write your emails effectively, in my opinion, but it can give you ideas for your subject lines. And then it can teach you shortcuts that can help with data processing and analysis. One of the ways I have found it to be most effective is to help me summarize transcripts of podcasts and videos. So like Greg Lampert, I see you're here. This could be effective for you with the show notes that you have from like a webinar, a podcast recording. It can help you distill that information down.
Yeah, and just another one, I do a lot of CRM success assessments for clients. And so we'll have lots of meetings with stakeholders throughout the firm to talk about CRM. And we have a video recording that sort of integrates with Zoom. There's 10 different ones that you can get, and it will real-time transcript as you're in the call. So, I happen to take really good notes, but if you don't, you can go back there, or if you just missed something, and there'll be a full transcript already written out that you can just copy and paste. It's a really cool way to use it as well.
Yeah. And sorry, go ahead.
It'll also give you really interesting ideas, for content, things that you might not have thought about. I'll let you discuss this one.
Yeah, so I was going to say, for many people, starting a blank page is scary. It's the worst part. So this can give you a framework and like put some words on a page, which can help you. And that's good. It can give you topics. It can look at your content and say, okay, these are some things you could be talking about as well, suggesting content. It's going to be hard on a new and nuanced subject, a specific area of the law, though. So know that if there isn't information in the public domain about something, you're not going to get great results. Okay. It can help you figure out the best ways for readability for content and grammar. Grammarly is actually an AI tool, by the way. Many of you might not realize that, but many of us have it as a plugin in Chrome. Content distribution, so it can also help you figure out the best ways to disseminate your information. And I know, like I said, for a lot of people, just getting started and having somewhere to begin is a huge help. And so for that, I think these tools can be useful. So I'll tell you, Chris, the tool, and I'd love to know what other people think, better than ChatGPT, better than Bard, better than any of them, in my opinion, has been the AI tools that are in Canva. They are very useful to me. So I can not only ask, so I think, okay, so Magic Write is a great tool. Like, you put in Magic Write what you want to talk about, and it will actually give you a terrific blog post or social media post. The background remover, by the way, that's AI. And then there's also Magic Eraser on Canva, where you can delete different things in an image. These are all AI tools. Presentations. Did you know you can make a presentation now in Canva based on copy? And it will make you a beautiful looking presentation that you can then tailor. There's ways to do translations in Canva and text to image, and all of these different tools. Magic Design will also just create, not necessarily for a presentation, but for social media posts, it will create a carousel post, for example. So to me, this has been the most useful tool, and I use this for, everything under the sun.
Yeah, and so here are some other additional tools that you might want to take a look at. There are hundreds of these already. It's not just ChatGPT. There are a lot of different tools available. ChatGPT obviously is the most popular. It's good at giving answers, but there are actually, Stephanie mentioned Slides GPT. There are some others here that will literally create a PowerPoint presentation around your topic. We've already talked about Grammarly. There's a lot of them for content marketing, content creation, testing of e-marketing campaigns, A/B testing, generating SEO keywords for your website, just a number of them. And we're all just scratching the surface here.
Yeah, and some of you are talking about Bard, and I've used Bard as well. I think the really good ones are, we've discussed them, and I'd love to know some of your other ones here. And it would be interesting to see. Okay, I didn't know that Grammarly has a writing assistant, so that's good to know too. And Diana's saying Notion. I've heard of Notion. I haven't used it. There's a lot of tools, and I would say vary it up. Everyone's using ChatGPT, so you might want to try one of the other ones. Okay, so another thing you can do with AI tools are to help you with social media monitoring. So these are some areas. So segment analysis, brand monitoring, trend analysis, and social listening. I have found it the most helpful for social listening. And I'm curious if anyone has used these tools. There's a lot of legal tech companies that do these things. And so I'm curious also how they're going to compete with technology that's out there and free for a lot of people. But
yeah, and a lot of these have both a free and a paid version. Somebody had asked, I'm using ChatGPT free, but our marketing team is using the paid version as well. Canva's got a free version, but it's more limited. To get the AI, you need to go ahead and pay for it. But there are a lot of these that have, Grammarly's got a free site. A lot of them have free, at least free features.
Yeah. Okay, so there are ways to actually generate leads. Now, again, this is not for every law firm. Chris and I are not saying use AI and you will get new business. Not necessarily. Just like when I talk about LinkedIn, I don't necessarily say if you use LinkedIn, it's going to, definitely bring you in new business. I can't promise that. But there are ways that you can use it to help you. So let's talk about these things. So data mining. So it can actually mine data from online sources, think about giving you ideas for potential clients and generate leads. I have toyed with this a little bit, and I've gotten a little bit, some of my results are a little more generic than I would like, a little bit more Again, they don't know your business strategy. They're not on the inside, so they can't be perfect, but it can give you some ideas. Behavioral analytics. So this is interesting. It can look at, different behaviors on your firm website, which can help you with conversion, more for maybe legal tech companies and folks that do not necessarily legal services. Okay, so I would also say it can help with prospecting. So it can help you streamline your lead gen process and automate different processes and procedures. Again, humans are the backbone of everything we do. We're not suggesting robots replace humans in legal marketing or any other place, but it can help streamline and make things more efficient.
But also, let's talk through. So I'm working with a fairly sizable accounting firm right now, and they are actually doing lead gen through the website. They track people depending on who gets their newsletter. They can see when they come to their website. They can see which pages they hit. They can see how often they come. They get a lead score assigned to that person based on these traits. And then they have the accountants, the professionals. They have different kinds of departments that will actually follow up with those individuals, to develop business. There are smaller firms here, at the conference where they are doing more, plaintiff focused, or smaller firms where they're doing a lot of SEO and Google ads, and they actually do get leads. They have intake forms on their site, and they need to be able to, they get a high volume of these, and they need to figure out which are the valid leads and which ones, they shouldn't really waste time on. And so there are definitely law firms using some of this, for prospecting as well.
Yeah, and I find it interesting to see, like, a lot of you are saying that Bing is a useful tool, and I'm seeing your Bing chat, and that some of you are using Bing chat for CI research. And Carrie said that it went more in depth than Westlaw. Yeah. That's something to check out. One of the reasons also why we did this webinar is we want to find out what tools you're using as well, and sharing information here in the chat. I'm so glad our chat is so active today, is really helpful. So we all have questions about these tools, and it's great to be able to talk about it together.
And it's great to think about how this is going to change, like legal research. We thought about including some of the law firm, how law firms can use AI, but that's a whole topic for another day. So, but how can marketers use it? Here's some things to think about. What time of day is the best time of day to be sending a campaign? The AI is going to automate that. Which subject lines are going to get the most opens? It can test that. A/B testing, which content, a lot of people know A/B testing, but it's going to automate that. If you send the same email with two different headlines or two different types of arrangements of the content, which one gets more readership? Which ones will get you leads? How can we best segment our list? Are we finally going to be able to tag people by industry and segment the list so we don't have to keep circulating spreadsheets to the attorneys? And then, of course, we've already talked about content creation.
Yeah, and I've used this to help with emails, and it has helped me a lot get out of my rut when it comes to subject lines. And I think that can be really useful. So I'm curious about any APIs that you can build with some of these different things, and how we can combine some of these tools together with the tools we already have. And I know that that's coming. So more to come on that. So Chris, this is a great question that a lot of people have been asking, like, how do we use AI with CRM?
Yeah, so people may not even know this, but there has been AI in CRM for years. So that tool ERM, or Enterprise Relationship Management, that captures contacts and creates them from the signature blocks of emails, that is technically a simple form of AI. Our new software has an ERM, and it's got an AI in it. Then, if you've thought about a white space analysis. So if you're not familiar with that, just imagine sort of a chart where you have all your practices across the top and all your clients down the left side. And so you can see your practices, and, basically where there's either an X or a dollar amount is where you're currently doing work. And any place that there's white space, also known as green space, is where you could potentially cross-sell. That's a sort of a simplified form of financial AI. Chatbots, most of our larger, more prominent and business to business firms are probably not going to use chatbots, but some of the smaller firms might. When you're dealing with a high volume of leads coming into your website, and you either need to do FAQs and answer their questions, or, and some of our service providers here, if you have to are constantly dealing with clients who are getting in touch with you and have FAQ type issues, then maybe a chatbot can help you get through some of those, obviously not all of them. Relationship mapping, that who knows who and how well based on recency and frequency of communications in email. That's another sort of a machine learning AI. And then, of course, NLP can help you extract information and deal better with natural language. Lots of different things. You might be familiar, Salesforce has an Einstein feature. They're sort of late to the game in legal. Oddly, we've been doing that kind of stuff for many, many years. But it's just trying to help automate things that are currently really manual because there's not enough hours in the day.
Amazing. So interesting. So AI can also be used to help you with the analysis of your marketing data, like, for example, social media, analytics, website traffic, and email marketing metrics. All of these are things you can use different AI tools to help you distill and break down and understand the data more effectively. And I think that is part of the issue with a lot of the data we have. We have it, but we don't know what to do with it. And we don't know how to make it really work for us. And AI is helping us do this. Now, some of the tools you already have this built in, or they're building it in. And then there are other ways to use the prompts in some of these tools to ask it to do different things. But there are limitations to what it can do in certain areas. Like, you can't upload spreadsheets and ask it to tell you, different things. Like, you've got to use it smartly and different ways to ask it more simple kinds of questions. So one size fits all, one size does not fit all, remember.
Yeah. So here's something fun. All of the slides that you've seen so far that were sort of my slides that are on the Client's First Consulting template, all of them were generated by AI. Every single slide in the deck so far that I did was generated by either ChatGPT, which we started there. So we had some questions about this, like, how do you do this? What's the process? So we just thought we'd have some fun. I went through and I had Michael, big shout out to Michael from my team. He's our marketing guy and he's awesome. And he went out and actually did some searches for me on ChatGPT and put together an outline for this deck. And it gave us all of the content, the sentences, and the data for the slides. Well, then I went looking and I found there's actually a tool out there that will generate PowerPoint slides. So I put it back to Michael. I said, Michael, go in and see what it'll generate. Now I'm thinking, it's not going to really get, narrow stuff like I need, like really esoteric stuff like, hey, we're in legal marketing. And how could you use, ChatGPT for legal marketing? Well, so the first thing he put in was how to use ChatGPT. And it came back with a lot of stuff about legal, like law firms. What is a law firm? What are the challenges faced by law firms? And they were good slides, but they weren't quite targeted. I said, okay, go back and put in the same parameters, but use legal marketing, not law firms. It came back with an entire new outline based on legal marketing, which is a lot of those slides. Then I went back and said, well, I want to, because I'm a CRM consultant, how could we use it with email marketing and CRM systems? And it came back with all the information about how different companies are using AI in CRM systems. So that whole slide that you saw, that came from a completely different search. So we did 3 different searches and it got more and more and more granular. It won't always work. Again, like Stephanie said earlier, sometimes you're going to have a topic that's so esoteric, it doesn't have the information. But the really important thing, lesson learned, that we're going to talk about next is you have to really, really evaluate this and have humans involved, and let us show you why.
The big
Stephanie, you
reveal.
want to go to the next slide? This was an actual slide generated by Slides GPT. This is the background. It was purple. And it was talking about how, what are some of the benefits for law firms? And check out the image. It generates its own images. Now, I'm not sure, why? Like, what does this have to do with anything?
But just so you know, it's a joint, everybody. It's a joint.
I think most people on the webinar are familiar with what that might be. But I was just like, what was it thinking? And then there was a slide on ROI. And it had a picture of a building in like ancient Rome. And I'm
that was a weird one.
Yeah. I don't quite understand what that has to do with ROI.
I was like, what's going on with her? Like, did she go to one too many conference and she's gone off the deep end? By the way, everyone, just while we're sitting here, I've asked ChatGPT a few things, okay? How can Fritsch market herself more effectively? Chris, it gave me 6 different tips, including thought leadership, speaking engagements, networking, referral marketing, SEO, social media. I mean,
I'm doing all that already.
I also asked it to write a bio for one of the lawyers at my firm, and it wrote a great short bio, but it pulled information from the website. But I also asked it to write a 100-word bio for me for that lawyer, and it did it. So, and it's good, by the way. So if you are in like a pickle with needing to do things like that, this will work for you. So try it for that.
I was talking to a client the other day, and he is in Chicago. He's a journalist by background. And the lawyer needed something. He needed opening remarks for a charity event they were doing. And of course, he went and said, I need this right away. Can you get this for me? And he's like, oh my God, I don't have time to do this. He literally said, give me opening remarks from a law firm supporting this charity. And boom, the first draft. He said, I got it in 30 seconds and he edited it. But you've got to edit it. You've got to pay attention. So we're going to talk some more about that now.
Pretty crazy. So anyway, so the joint is funny.
Yeah. You've got to be careful. Okay, we're, as a recovering attorney, I can tell you, in a law firm, we've got to be really, really cautious. It's early days and, people are busy and they're going to forget to do the edit. When we got the slides out of here, it took a long time for us to go through. Now, I did go through the slides. The headings were, initial cap only. They were all phrased as questions. There was so much garbage on the slides that you couldn't even read them. So rather than just having these 2 bullets, there would be 3 paragraphs of information that you then have to edit down because this is PowerPoint. You don't want, to be giving large amounts of copy. As you can see here, it writes stuff in sentences. If I had done these slides, I wouldn't have done that. I eliminated a lot of that information. And then I'm not really sure why it picked a wood background with information about, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, but it's putting images on the slides. So I'm like, I don't know, do you have, are they stock images? Where do they come from? I don't know. I wonder where it got the picture of the joint. Not really clear on that. And you've
it's strange. There are so many ethical and privacy concerns, and there are so many other different concerns. So Chris, like security, I'm sure like every IT director and CIO is freaking out about this. We are actually developing a policy on AI because it's not, it's whose work product is it? Who does it belong to?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And you all know there's lots of lawsuits where, there are deep fake images being put up. There are songs being published by artists who didn't actually sing or write the songs. So, we're going to have the same issues where, the associate or the marketing professional didn't write the content. Who does it belong to? And, you've got to make sure you edit it because it's never going to get your voice. Your voice has to come from you. But it certainly can be a good starting point, and it certainly is interesting.
Yeah, and Chris, I have a question. So even if you edit the materials, but Chris is a lawyer, for those of you who don't know.
Recovering.
How do you not wind up like getting in trouble for plagiarism?
I don't think anybody has the answers to any of this yet. That's gonna come down through decisions. And again, if you look at ALM today, there were 8 articles on AI, and a lot of them were involving lawsuits. And so it's going to get resolved in the court. The other thing is it's pulling together so much information from places we don't even know about. And by the way, we've all seen the hallucinations, that's what they're calling them, that it has. And we don't really know if it's pulling information that's always truthful. So that's another reason you've got to pay really good attention.
A huge read. It's only based on the information that's out there. And so the information could not be great. I also find that a lot of the responses I get when I ask it to write a blog post or give me 10 tips is all about, it's the same. It's website, social media, thought leadership, referral marketing, which means that we could all have very similar content. So it's interesting. By the way, if you're looking to give it like the best prompts, what I find is being specific and asking it for 10 tips on how to, or 10 creative ways to market your lawyers, 10 not widely used ways to blah, blah, blah. Those I find give me better results when I type things in. And I really find the Canva tool to be much stronger.
Yeah.
Okay. So I mentioned before, I am looking at developing policies for this. There are so many implications. I mean, we want to make sure that associates and any other lawyers and staff members don't use these tools in a way that is not appropriate. Using a third party to create drafts is a minefield of trouble. Giving these tools information about clients or prospects in the public domain is not a good idea. Not divulging from where the information came in a first draft, that's also scary. You could be using another law firm's work product at the end of the day. So be careful. Your firm should be creating an AI policy with regard to how this information is used, disseminated, created, and everything else under the sun. And if any of you have,
if you need one though, just go to ChatGPT and ask for it. It'll give you the policy.
Yeah, I'm sure, but we've got to be careful about having a policy and making sure the newer lawyers who grew up with, smartphones in the crib, are so used to using tools like this, know the difference between like what's appropriate and what's not. So as your summer associates come in, I would say this could be part of their training, your new associate class, etc. So updating your AI policy, and I don't know if everyone has an AI policy, but you need one. And we mentioned this already, but just a quick reminder, there are so many limitations. Like it can give you incorrect info. It could produce harmful instructions. Harmful to lawyers is different than harmful to the general public. Biased information, we talked about that, there are ethical issues. It has limited, so ChatGPT actually has limited knowledge of the world and events after 2021. Okay, although I did ask if it's been in the news, it will be in there. Like I asked it, help me write a marketing, help me come up with marketing tactics to market a recent case, and the case was covered in the news, so it was able to do it. And the things it gave me were, not necessarily things I hadn't thought about, but it put it in one place, which was interesting. The ABA model rules, we want to make sure we're following those. I've heard the ABA is actually going to revise things and talk about AI. There's liability.
Oh, they absolutely will.
Scary liability issues, an unfair advantage, of course, particularly if you have a summer associate or a brand new paralegal or a new marketing assistant who seems to be writing at a level that just seems above where they should be. Like I would say you're, and I don't know, like, is it not good that they did it, or are they just being resourceful? I mean, there's so many things to think about here. And then who owns the work? Plagiarism. I have seen things so I asked it to write an article in my voice. What would Stefanie Marrone do in this situation? And it actually took things that I had written and from my blog and put it in a post. So if you wanted to, let's say write like Chris Fritsch or write like me, it could actually use the words of us and put it in the post, which would, I think, be plagiarism, but I don't know what you guys think.
I mean, a while back when it first came out, I was just asking it interesting questions. And, what I do is a little esoteric, right? CRM success specifically for professional services firms. And I was like, tell me about CRM utilization in professional services firms. And it wrote me like a 2-page article, and I'm reading it going, I would have written all of these things. It wasn't necessarily exactly my voice, but it knew really esoteric things that, that you wouldn't think. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little scary. It's uncharted waters. I think there have to be disclaimers. I think if you're using ChatGPT or another tool, content tool in a blog post or anything you've written, I would say at the bottom, some of the information in this article was from, and then the source, so that you're covering all your bases. And, listen, it's a computer, it's a tool at the end of the day. So there's no guarantee the information is accurate, just like Wikipedia, there's no, don't take any of this as, the holy grail or information that is, absolute. And, it doesn't have context. And that's the hardest thing. It doesn't know, you could go into, help me plan an event to wow my clients. Okay, well, then you might want to go into and say, help me plan my event, for clients. And I only have a budget of $40,000, and it's just me as the marketer, and we're in Milwaukee, and we can't have it on any other night but Monday. I mean, like, that's not going to work. So like, it can give you ideas for like an event, but it can't like actually know all of the circumstances and all of the things that it needs to know in your business to give you fully relevant and reliable answers.
And we haven't talked about this either yet, but one of the other things you can do with it, we're all struggling to try to get, the search engines to recognize pages on websites, to rank them higher. There's a lot of the SEO tools, SEMrush and some of those that use AI, and, to have it pick the right keywords to hopefully, increase the traffic and increase the Google relevance of different pages of your website, different blog posts. That's another really good use.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I will tell you that, using it for tactics is much better than asking it for strategy. People need to be involved in the strategy. They need to be the ones, really helping with that. Anything that can give you an advantage in terms of, helping you, find a time or help you be more efficient, I'm all for, with the caveat that, these tools need to be used responsibly and ethically. The best marketing tools that you're going to be able to use are the ones that really, speak to your goals and challenges as a business. And the resources, there's absolutely no way you can download everything that's in your head and everything into a prompt. No matter, like the example I gave about Milwaukee and, on a Monday night, like, there's absolutely just no way. So you can supplement, but you need to be careful. The other thing I found is it does not work for SEO and hashtags. It's not going to give you exactly what you need in this area. It doesn't understand the different nuances. You can't use it for paid advertising either. it doesn't have information that can make it do these things effectively. Like it doesn't know exactly how many followers a certain hashtag has and the difference between, how many you should be using on which platform. It's going to base the hashtags probably on the content itself. And there's so much more that goes behind, the hashtags that you use. If you really don't have, any idea from where to start, then use it and then double check the thing. So I would just say, use it, let it spit out information, and you can then, double check everything yourself. The best way to use it is to be specific, but not overly specific, as the example I gave you again with Milwaukee, with your prompts, and then use the information as starting points. I find it really helpful as an outline. Fact check your results, research your results. Don't just depend on them, and be transparent. Make sure that you let people know that you got this information from a third party in part.
All right, so lots and lots of information here. I'm sure we'll be doing, more webinars on this topic in the future. But just like any technology, you have to really be thoughtful and have a strategy created by humans, created by groups of humans. Start with your goals. Why are you using the tools? What types of tools do you need? Do you need to make PowerPoints? Do you need to make content? Do you need blog posts? Do you need to do e-marketing? Do you need to improve your website? What are the right tools? What's your budget? What are the right pieces of technology that are going to help with that specific or those specific things that you want to do? But don't forget data quality, all right? Start small. Sometimes necessity is the mother, and you've got something you've got to get done, and you've got to get it done really quick. And you just, are going to start with a very small project. I wonder if ChatGPT has any ideas, and you may find that it does. Work with your team, and find out kind of what they're working on. Your graphic design folks, if you have those folks, might be using one tool like Canva, and then your content and e-marketing folks might be using something else to generate initial drafts. And then you've got other folks dealing with your website bios and all of that. And there are different tools that do different things and that have different benefits. But what we talked about today, and again, we will be sharing this, train your staff. If you're leading a department, it's really incumbent upon you to take this into your hands and be the leader that lets them know where the parameters are and how important it is to check the information and all the ethical issues and how to, talk to the lawyers about it. Spend some time making sure that they understand the best practices for this, and just, monitor performance, keep trying new things, see what works, make course corrections as needed, but just get out there and try some of this.
Yeah.
So training is
what is
a
this
big
image,
thing.
by the way?
Yeah, I left this one in too, because I have no idea what that really is. It's Slides GPT doesn't quite understand what's in the I bet it has to use the tags, the alt tags or something, but I don't know what this one is. I got nothing. It certainly is not relevant to the topic, so it's kind of fun, and illustrative of the point that you really need to check this information and spend some time with it. We had to go through and reformat everything in here, and I changed out a few of the images, but I left some in just for fun. Training going to be really important. The lawyers are going to be coming to you with questions about this. And so, you need to train your team, but you also may need to do some lawyer training. You want to integrate the AI with some of your processes and systems, and just don't forget to regularly test for accuracy and effectiveness. Some good points. Good points, ChatGPT. You go.
Good points, right? Okay. So some final success tips from us. Use them for inspiration, outlines, tactics, leverage the prompts, fact check things, be transparent if you use them. don't over rely on them, and use humans for the strategy, because at the end of the day, humans are going to be the ones in the best position to be able to give you the ability to really, move your business in the direction it needs to go. So that's what I would say to that point. The best quality is the human. So as you'll see from today, we hope you found this helpful, interesting, and we hope that you will connect with us on LinkedIn and of course on our other channels. We will put some follow-up information for those of you who attended and who registered and couldn't be here. And that's it. If you have any questions, I'm going to stop sharing. We're happy to take any questions that you have. This is an area where we're all learning, and we don't have all the answers, but we wanted to at least just start that dialogue to discuss these things. So we hope that we gave you some ideas. We will also go through the chat and just take out some of the tools. Like, I'm seeing things here that I didn't know, and I will make sure that we put in this information. I will also, you'll get a copy of the slides, so no worries about that, and a copy of the recording. All right, so thank you. And if anyone, it looks like somebody found one of the images that were in your presentation, Chris. So keep us posted on how you are using these tools. We want to know as well. So thanks, everybody. Have a great day.
Yeah, thanks again.